Silver Doctors. Silver Doctors Live. Silver Doctors Live on air. It is Monday. It is Monday, the second day of March. My name is Paul, Half Dollar Eberhardt, and joining me over here is my co-host Mike today, back from an undisclosed location in Area 2. I'm glad to see that you weren't put in forced quarantine. Mike, how you doing today?
I am doing excellent, Mr. Half Dollar. Everything's well on my end, and no quarantine. And saw a couple people with masks on, but nothing that was quite alarming or shocking. But I got some thoughts I want to share on that as well. So, but other than that, everything's well, man. Looking forward to hanging out this afternoon and getting a chance to check in with everybody, see what's going on.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you made it back okay and that everything's going good with you. And I don't hear any cough or see any sniffles, so I don't think we have to give you a little bit of extra screening there. If you want to go ahead and say a moment and welcome a couple of people in the chat.
Yes, definitely. So, very first person, I guess, Entellus. And we got Jason, we got John, we got Edward, we got Alpine, we got Rody, we got Rooster, Chris, let me see, Papa, Susan. Okay, how's everybody doing? So thanks for joining us this afternoon. And as always, if you guys have any thoughts or anything you want to add into the discussion today, feel free to let us know in the chat. Just highlight at Silver Doctors. Or when the phone lines are available, give us a call, 567-336-0844.
Yep, that's right. Mike, what I want to do today, what I want to start out with today is, yesterday in my recommended video feed, it's interesting because I had this recommended video pop up.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this video even got out. And I actually have my suspicion, and I'm going to talk about this. But I just want to go over this video and kind of do like a play-by-play and analyze this video with you because... Yeah. This is very, very important because one of the main questions that we hear is, what's it going to look like? What's it going to be? What can I do to protect myself? In this video, it's not really the intent to show these control measures. It's just a video of what is life like, but there's some very important things we need to pick up out of this video because this is in the best case scenario. And I don't even think it's going to be like this, but this is what life is like out of China. So I'm going to switch everybody's attention over here to this video. This is from, now they started this video, I think on the 21st of February. So it's still a couple days.
Yeah.
And they live in Tianjin, which is, that's that place where I think that we struck them with a tactical nuke back in 2015. Yeah. But they live in Tianjin. So I just want to go through a couple of these sections. Some of these things are going to be still shots, and some of them I'm going to play like a little 5-second clip just so we can see what I'm talking about here.
Sounds good.
Like the very first thing, for example, one of the things that we've seen in these pictures are just the disasters of people trying to put on these masks, right? And like we see like people with masks upside down and this and that. And remember like from the Diamond Princess or the people that were in the hotel and it shows like a picture of them and they don't even have their mask on properly.
Yeah.
Just, those N95 masks, that thing in the middle, it's really crucial to pinch it. So look, so here's this. So I think what this is like a formerly Mexican or Mexican woman married to a Chinese person living in Tianjin. But it just shows this guy putting on his mask right here. But watch this. Watch this where he's going to pinch the nose. Bam. So you got to get that seal right and you got to get the mask sealed properly. That's just a side note there for proper mask putting it on and off.
Yeah.
Not really what I want to talk about, but here's what I want to talk about. I want to go through a couple of these timestamps here. And just to get things off the bat, why do I think that this video was even able to get out in the first place? Because right here on the screen, what they're doing is they're talking about, well, the number of increasing cases daily is going down and the number of people recovering is getting a lot better. So we're very optimistic here in Tianjin. In other words, they're towing the Chinese government party line. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not saying anything that's going to be critical of China. So that's why I think this got out. And the video, you know what? I'm going to put this link in the chat. It's so rude of me not to offer that first things first, Mike, because, and the reason why there's no audio on this is because it's in Spanish, right? So this is, and then again, like when the guy is talking, it's weird because you're hearing like a Chinese guy speaking bad Spanish and it's a bad Mexicanized Spanish on top of that. But that's why I think this video was able to get out. A, because it's not in English, and B, because they're being very respectful and not critical whatsoever of the Chinese government. We'll see that even more here as it goes on.
Yeah.
Now
watch this. So before we move forward, is just another thing to play into that is the fact that did it? It's based upon being in Tianjin. Was it called again? What's the city again?
Tianjin.
It's based upon being in Tianjin, but the question is this actually released from Tianjin, or was it shot there and then sent somewhere else to be uploaded? So there's so much stuff you can look into it because if they crack down on media, therefore they're probably not allowing people on YouTube as easily, if at all. Therefore, either people are using a VPN or it could be propaganda based type of information. So go ahead.
I think the Chinese government is letting this one out because it's propaganda that is pro-communist China, and we're going to see several examples of that. So here's just the first thing that I want to talk about, and that's just the empty streets. And this is so here's Tianjin. Here they're on their way to a mall, but just watch them as they cross the street. Or actually, I'm just going to describe it for the people who are listening only. But right now, they're crossing a very large street, and there's just barely any foot traffic, and there's there's barely any cars on the street whatsoever. There's like 1 or 2 cars going across this street here. So, that's interesting because, yes, the economy literally comes to a standstill there, Mike. I mean, everything is coming to a standstill. And we're going to talk about something interesting about that dynamic too. But then they get into this subway. Here's the first point that I want to bring up. In China, they're scanning everywhere. And they're using those thermal temperature scanners. And then they're doing wrist and they're also doing forehead. But they're doing wrist more, it looks like, in China than forehead. And I wonder if there's some sort of you're not as close to the face, so you don't have as much risk of getting something on your hand. I think that's why they're doing it there. From a disease prevention point of view, it makes sense. But just the point here with this is and here's a little clip of them actually taking the temperature here at minute 2:03. Watch this. So here they're going into the subway here, and here you got to go through this line, and they got these areas marked off, and then they're scanning your wrist right there to get your temperature. And this is everywhere, and we're going to see this is everywhere. This isn't just subway, but this is in the malls. This is everywhere.
Now watch this real quick before we move on. Now you're scanning for a temperature, sure. But yet, if the person doesn't necessarily feel under the weather or feel like they're, a little warm or whatnot, what can actually, as a person that's scanning, what's the likelihood that you can probably get a false reading, or you can just get somebody who just happened to have been in the sun or whatever, what I'm saying, to where that number shows up as they're running a temperature or it's a little hot, and then they're yanked out of the streets and drug away. And so once again, the thermostat temperature gauge is not a good way of determining if someone has it or not, because it can lay dormant forever. So not a good way to measure.
Yes, the question is something better than nothing? And I guess since you got all these Chinese and they need jobs, well, I guess something is better than nothing. Although you are putting people potentially at risk because of the asymptomatic carriers. But yeah, so that's a good point that you're making. I mean, is it worthwhile? Do you scan or do you not scan? This is a pickle. Oh, and something else, Mike, just about this. One thing that you notice, like these shots out in the open in the street, what do you don't see? You don't see trash anywhere on the street. You don't see homeless people sleeping with tents and cardboard and stuff. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is going to be a mess in the United States.
I wonder, is there a large homeless population in those major areas, and how do they handle the homeless crisis if they have one? And so that's another thing right there, because those will be the people that would ideally be carriers that may not be able to get treatment. So, interesting.
Yeah. So the next point about this is total tracking of people. So as they got their temperature scanned, you will see that all throughout this video they have to literally scan on their phone where they are. So the Chinese government is literally tracking the movement of every single person in real time, where they are in every single place they passed. So from a disease prevention, I mean, I guess that's kind of good, because you could send out an alert and say, hey, somebody was infected here. But think about the United States. We are nowhere near this kind of level. I'm just going to play a couple seconds of this right here. So here she is, and she's explaining what they got to do, and she's got to log into her phone here, and she's got to say, hey, this is me and stuff. I'm in the subway right now, so I'm going to go up to this wall and I'm going to scan. Boom, I've just checked into the subway, and now I'm about to go get on a train here. And there they are in the subway waving. So you go and get scanned every single place you go. This is best case scenario too, Mike. This is best case scenario. Thoughts?
So once again, it seems like, a communist nation, they're using this to their advantage to gain further control and to gain acceptance by the masses, all in the idea of helping protect and keep them healthy. And so this is more of a push to go digital, when they can track you by your phone and you have to check in with them with your phone. And so this is the type of stuff I think that is a model for what the globalists probably want for other nations as well. So don't be surprised if it comes here.
You're going to be impressed with this push for digital, because it is everything, Mike. You're going to see. I'm not even a quarter of the way through these points yet, so I got to speed it up. But you can see the subway's not very busy there. A lot of empty seats. Okay, so 244. What do I have down here at 244? What is my point here? Oh, this is just showing them. So now they're like leaving the subway.
Yeah.
So they're scanning again to leave the subway
These
there.
are empty.
So
man.
so you're scanning everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
And they say like it's an honor system to scan, but think about all the surveillance cameras that are in China. That's point one, and then point two. If you go from point A to point C, right, and they know for a fact you went through point B, but you didn't scan there, well, everybody's going to scan because you're terrified of what the government's going to do if you don't scan, right? I mean, this is like total Orwellian society, but this is what's coming, right? This is best case.
Yeah, and watch this. There's cameras everywhere, and I actually saw a video a long time ago where actually on a train there was an overhead announcement about how those that are caught or something, those that are disobedient will be punished severely or something like that. So it wouldn't be too far fetched where somebody on the overheads, call your name out and say you didn't scan, please report to such and such.
Yes. Oh
my goodness, this is crazy.
That'd be like the walk of shame. That would be the absolute walk of shame there.
Oh, but they do publicly embarrass you though. Like I saw ads where they'll put your name on a banner if you were jaywalking or something like that to actually shame you. And if anybody associates with you, then they get punished and their credit scores get lowered. And it's all a social credit score. Imagine walking through and not going through the checkpoint. Your credit score drops 5 points.
Yeah, exactly, right, exactly. And it's probably tied into just specific amount, right?
Exactly.
And just like Uber with those peak hours, you probably got like peak hours. So in a pandemic, it's like a 2-for-1 double whammy on that credit score if you don't scan, right? Because of the elevated, contagion level.
Oh,
Here's something I want to point out. Watch how he opens the door when they walk into the mall. Everybody needs to understand this, right? You do not touch that doorknob if you don't have to touch that doorknob. So I just want to show you that, if anything, the Chinese have common sense, right? And that's what we need to see is actual common sense. So watch him as he opens the doorknob to go into the mall here.
Yeah.
So here he's standing at the doorknob, and then he's got his foot. He kicks the door open enough so he can walk through without even touching it, right? So that's important, right? That's just one of those little kind of prevention techniques.
Yeah.
So then they're in this mall here. And this mall is a huge mall, and you're going to see it in a second. Let me see if it'll show. So he's going to pan around, and look how big this mall is. And only one store is open. We'll get into that in a second. So here's this mall. It's many levels. Like there were like probably 5 or 6 levels, and everything is closed down in this shopping mall. Everything is closed down in the shopping mall. Now, here's something that I want to show you. And this is talking about why that mall is even open in the first place. And the mall is even open in the first place because they have a wait, I'm in the wrong time spot. Because they have a grocery store in that mall. Mm-hmm. That's the store that's open. That's why that mall is open, so people can get groceries. But here's what I want to show you. So now up on the screen, so they're walking through the mall, and they're about to go in and like show the grocery store in the shot there. But here you can see 2 more people ready to scan and check for their temperature. Everywhere you go, like they're scanning. Everywhere, Mike, everywhere. But watch this. I want to show you a couple things here. So let me hit play. So here they're showing, see, this is why I say like, how I don't understand how this got out, because this is incredible. They're showing the open grocery store. But look at this right here. Look at this. Look at these 2 dudes right here that are like in these, like, they got these like what look like garden or pesticide sprayers, and they're spraying some sort of chemical solution in there. Yeah. And they got rubber gloves on, and they got like these blue raincoats, and they got masks, and they got goggles. Mike, are our mall janitors trained for that at all? Do they have that equipment at all? Are they going to be disinfecting stuff? No, Mike, no. So this is best case. We're so royally like messed up over here. It's not even funny. Thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, so I'm wondering. So the person that's the people that are shooting this video, why are they? Okay, so this goes back to the propaganda side of things that you said earlier, that the government is allowing this to be sent out. And so my question is, without even having saw this video, what's the objective of this video? Like, what are they trying to actually show or prove about a deserted city? Like, what? Like, so what's the objective is what I'm trying to get. I'm curious about.
Okay, I'll tell you what the objective is. I was going to get there in minute 5:32, but I can skip that. I'll just show it, just to show it, right? But
okay.
Here's the objective, right? At the time they filmed this on February 21st, there were only 45 cases in all of Tianjin, Mike.
Yeah.
That's a bombshell. That's a shocker, isn't it? All of this for 45 cases. All of this for 45 cases, Mike. Think about that.
Yeah. Now
So
you got
that's
that.
the point of the video, to show daily life in a city where there's 45 cases.
Now you got that information based upon the time this video was published, or what? Like what? Like so they mentioned the
Yes.
date and time. Okay, yeah.
Yes, I'll show you that timestamp in a minute when we get to it. So they mentioned that there's currently 45 cases in Tianjin right now. So all of this and only 45 cases. I don't know what the population of Tianjin is, but maybe if someone put that in the chat here.
I would imagine it has to be millions.
Yeah, I would imagine too. So here we're talking about 3 minutes, or no, I got to get to 4:20 here. So here now they're outside in downtown. So I'm gonna play just a second of this. So this is downtown Tianjin, and what they're saying is they're walking in this downtown metropolitan area, and they're saying normally this street would be full. These streets would be absolutely jam-packed full, and they're absolutely deserted, Mike, and everything is closed down in downtown Tianjin where it would just be full of people. So when we say that it happens abruptly and it abruptly stops, I'm going to show you an even more specific example there in a minute, but I'm going to keep it rolling here. So let's go to timestamp 4 minutes and 46 seconds because there's something very important to see here. What is on the screen is in that downtown Tianjin area, there are these blue signs that the government put up.
Yeah.
And what these governments put up are signs. And one of the signs says, use a mask in public. Use a mask in public. And then it also says, now I can't read this, so I'm just having to accept that the Chinese guy speaking in Spanish is understanding Chinese and is actually saying what it actually says, right? So I'm taking it at face value. But they're also saying don't go out of your house that much. Think about that in contrast to what our government is telling us just as of yesterday. Just as of yesterday. Think about this. And this is, I don't even understand this. This is so crazy. This is so like so unprofessional. Even though we know that they're going to be censoring all this stuff, right? Yesterday, our own Surgeon General in the United States said, and let me find this here. He said, seriously, people, stop buying masks. Stop buying masks. They are not effective in preventing the general public from catching coronavirus. But if the healthcare providers can't get them to care for the sick patients, it puts them and our communities at risk. So the Chinese government is saying, put on a mask when you're out in public. Be very careful. Our Surgeon General, the top doc in the United States, is saying they don't protect people and the health people need it to protect them. Here's the question. Does a virus know how to distinguish between who's a healthcare worker and who's not a healthcare worker? Of course not. Of course not. So we're just woefully, inadequately, seriously unprepared for this, and they're trying to blame average Joe because there's a lack of masks. Come on now. Come on now.
So the goal is to keep calm and confidence, and that's the goal, while not exciting panic so that people can go about their daily lives and spend. Because remind you, that if we don't spend, people don't consume, people don't go out and shop and buy and charge stuff, there's no economy. And therefore, you can't have panic running through this country. But yet, it's one of the things where, and I heard a lot of people talk about this summer might be a time where it dials down. And even in the chat, people talk about like UV lights and the sun. Like the summertime atmospheres are not good for the flu type of pandemic situation. So, yeah, the goal is to keep people shopping in the springtime and try to hopefully get to the summer if we can get to that point.
No. It's going to be so much worse here, Mike. I mean, if you think the death count's bad in China, it's going to be horrible here. It's going to be horrible here.
Now watch it. Before we move on, let's get to the chat real quick. I don't want to get too far out. We won't get people to the chat. So we got a couple thoughts in the chat. It says, Grinch says, nobody is talking about our best weapon against the virus, UVC lamps, both personal, handheld, and at entrances to public spaces. So I'm not familiar with, UV lamps and things of that nature, but I'm assuming might be something worth looking into for those that might want to go out and get a UV lamp. And then John says, last week, local hospital called my auto parts store asking for all N95 masks we had and could get at Silver Doctors. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I sent you a pic, and I actually put it in an article from my local Walmart bleach, right? I mean, the panic buying has begun. We called this 2 weeks ago. Exactly. I started talking about, I specifically mentioned N94 masks on our Silver Doctors Live on January 24th and said people might want to get a couple because they're going to go on up in price.
Yeah.
And our Surgeon General doesn't want you to buy them. He wants you to see if you can actually get one when you actually need it, and then if you can afford it when you do need it. So
exactly. And the thing is, we don't produce them here, so yeah, there will be none available. Therefore, if it does spread like I believe they wanted to, it's going to take out or infect a good portion of the population. Because why? It was all fine and good a month ago when we should have been getting them when we could, but at that moment they won't be available.
Yeah. Yeah. Now up on the screen now it's showing where they're talking about, and that was what I was going to say. Like all of this, I was kind of bringing it on as like dramatic, right? As like they're doing all of this with only 45 cases, but I do believe the number, at least the number that was reported by China, and that they're regurgitating that number. So let's move on to timestamp 6 minutes and 37 seconds because there's something we need to see here. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one. Okay. Okay, now what is on the screen is this little note, and the Chinese guy is reading this and translating on the fly and speaking in Spanish, right? But the note's obviously in Mandarin. But what they're saying is, if you see somebody selling masks or vegetables at a higher price than they should be, report it and get a reward. And then it's saying that the reward is anywhere between $71.14 and $284.58. That's US dollars, right? Because they converted it. So turn people in, rat on each other, you know. Doesn't matter that the person who is taking a risk for his life to get those vegetables for sale charges a little more for them, you know, because hey, we can't have that, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is so one of the takeaways we can get from this is the fact that all the activity happening in that region right now is a good example of what the government's trying to downplay here of what could come here. But then again, it's not going to be possible because we don't have nowhere near as much mask or production of the things that they're able to produce there. Because I saw videos where they've opened factories back up and people have masks on to produce more masks. And I don't think China's going to be sending them here. No. So, yeah, times are ticking.
Yeah, time is definitely ticking. Because that's what I'm talking about, how like they told the top propagandist line, because he says in this video, it's good to turn people in, right? I disagree with that. I think the price gouging thing, you know, if it wasn't for the price gougers, then there wouldn't be any supply, right? Because if it wasn't for that person taking the risk to get you that mask there, then there wouldn't even be the mask at all to begin with.
Yeah, no incentive to sell. No, if you can't make a profit off of it.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, so 7:59. Here's something that I want to bring up. Oh, wait a second. No. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. So here's a blocked off community. So it's 6:45. So here they're walking around the city, and then they come up to an area that's actually quarantined in the city. So this must be where some of those cases are. And it's literally like they got these like going. You can't go down the street because they got it from like building to building, completely covering the street and the sidewalk. And then they just walk up to it and they say, "Hey, no one's allowed in and no one's allowed to this area. It's under quarantine."
But watch this. Isn't this video when they only have 45 people?
Yep.
So how can a whole area be infected with people or hazardous? And then you got people in the mall spraying, and you got other people in the mall with no mask on. So what's really behind those doors or those walls would be the question.
That would be a very good question, Mike. That is a very good
question. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to make light of this because, I mean, it's going to be horrible. And this is the best case scenario, right? This is the best case scenario. So minute 7:17, what we're talking about here is just scan everywhere. So here is a little like bakery area, and then there's that little thing where you got to scan your cell phone again, let the government know that you walked into that bakery at that specific time. So let's go to 7:53. There's something important. Oh, here's something that I want to talk about. This is something that's going to affect Americans' lives, definitely. Yeah. So here's a different mall. This mall doesn't have a grocery store in it, Mike, so this mall is not open. But think about this. Here's this sign here, and this guy's actually talking about it, so I listened to him, so I know exactly what he says. But this sign on this mall here says, this mall was closed effectively the 4th of February. Now, this video was taken on the 21st of February, so it was already 2 weeks. And it says, and it was still closed, and it says, and that sign says it will open at a later date. Now, what you see here is that they posted this sign on February 3rd. On February 3rd, they posted a sign. They give you 1 day notice. This mall is closing tomorrow. What if you got a job at that mall, Mike?
You don't have a job anymore.
You don't have a job.
And you're not on paid, and you're definitely not on paid leave. Nope. Therefore, you probably basically got temporarily fired in the meantime because once again, when's the reopen time frame?
Yeah.
So watch this. So the biggest impact of that for all the people, the millions of people. So someone in the chat mentioned that Tianjin has close to 11 to 12 million people in it. And so if the city is shut down, like this video demonstrates it is, think about 11 to 12 million people at home, not getting paid, and therefore the businesses aren't making profit. So just a down trickle effect to where it spells trouble. And so one of the biggest concerns is having a little bit of extra cash on hand to cover some bills. And we're in a country where people don't even have $100, like in savings, in a sense. So imagine the amount of trouble people are going to have when it comes time to paying bills and utility and all of that stuff like that. So that's another hazard that people should be aware of. Like right now.
Absolutely. Mike, here's something that's interesting, and this is another reason why it's going to be much worse here. Okay, so here they're walking up on a Starbucks, right? So there's that thing on the Starbucks to scan again right here for your phone. But here's my point with that. The Starbucks is open. You're going to see in a minute the McDonald's are open. What's open in Tianjin? All the Western companies. What is that telling you? That's telling you that all the American companies are going to prioritize business over public health. That's the message I get from that. What message do you get from that, Mike?
I get a message that is not, like the government, I thought, shuts down businesses. So why is American businesses not closed as well? Like you can't close your own, but yet keep American franchises open. Because I'm thinking, like, if no one's in the streets, who's actually going to shop anyway? So you got 6 or 7 employees back there waiting to brew a cup of coffee. But if nobody comes in, then what's the point of having it open? And then on top of that, are you going to take your mask off to drink your coffee to put it back on? Like, so it leads me to question once again: American businesses open, Chinese businesses closed. Is there a collaboration here?
Yeah. Money over health, and then what else is going on that we don't know about? Oh, because here's the McDonald's, right? So the McDonald's is open. Let me do the screenshot for that real quick.
Yeah.
Because this is important. So now I've got up on the screen a picture outside of a McDonald's. But here's the interesting thing about this McDonald's, right? So this McDonald's in Tianjin is open.
Yeah.
But look at this. They got people in hazmat gear with those sprayers again standing outside of McDonald's disinfecting it. Who's going to do that in the United States, Mike? Who's going to do that here?
Somebody will. I don't know.
Who?
I mean,
you got to have a license. You got to go to school. You got to have 30. They're going to put in all these regulations. You got to have 5,000 hours worth of on-job training. I mean, that's how the regs work.
Nope. They gave him a hazmat suit and a bottle of spray and stuff to go spray and say, you go spray everything you see. Wherever you see people walking, spray after they leave, and we'll pay you. And so people who are desperate in need, they're going to be out there spraying.
Yeah. I guess. But but you're going to have to get trained on it, getting licensed in it, and get pre-approved here. I mean, it's going to be a disaster here. Yes, there they just say, here, put on a suit and go spray that door down. There, yep.
Now watch this. What are they spraying? Like, what type of disinfectant? They're not spraying just like pure bleach or whatever. So, could they be spraying something that could actually spread it? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be a solution of bleach water, but I'm not sure. I have no idea. I'm just guessing. That's speculation. But here's the thing. In that video in the mall, as they were in the mall, they were like, wow, this has got a really hardcore smell of chemicals. And then they're like, yeah, and it's like that in the subway too. And that's another thing that got me thinking, right? In the United States, people are so sensitive. It's like, oh my God, that person's perfume affects me. I can't have that person working 12 cubicles down from me, right? But in China, they just spray that stuff all over the place and whatever, you got to breathe it in, right? So here, I mean, it's like just the norms.
Yeah.
I mean, see why I'm so frustrated today, Mike? It's probably coming across that I was irritated today. And yesterday.
No. So what you've done is you did a great job of breaking this video down, giving the viewers a chance to see what's going on over there. And this is well before it actually became a national crisis, because in that city, according to what you gave us here, only 45 people actually were diagnosed with having something, and now it's thousands upon thousands. So if they were doing all this precautionary stuff well in advance before it broke out, then how did it continue to break out will be the question. And so, as I mentioned before we went live about my concerns based upon some things I heard from other people, talking about how the mandatory vaccination that people they either had to get or are going to be required to get, could that play into further escalating and spreading it to where people are actually running from the government locally there and hiding, not wanting to be dragged out of their house because they're going to be vaccinated. And then that vaccine, I'm assuming, is not trialed to actually be effective. So that's another thing to concern yourself with. What will be rolled out? Because they're talking about 18 months possibly, but yet I heard somebody also today mentioning they're going to start injecting people maybe 5 to 6 months, give or take. So watch this. Mm-hmm. Will you, if it became a situation here and it was recommended to go down such and such to get vaccinated, are you going?
Well, that's a tough question. I would ideally, selfishly, I would wait until everybody else went, and then a couple months went by, just make sure that there weren't any issues one way or another, and that But I don't know. That's a tough question. Question.
Now we got a question in the chat. It says, Paul, how much training did you get when you were
voluntold?
To do something in the Army.
Yeah. Well, not really. First time I was in Iraq, hey, you know how to drive? No, good. You're going in that one right there. Go drive this thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's your training, right? It's like baptism by fire over there. So the U.S. military is going to be doing baptism by fire. Just in general, the U.S. this is going to be a boondoggle. I have 4 more quick time frames from this video we got to go over real quick, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And then there was someone, does anybody know how much colloidal silver can be generated? I don't know. That's a good question, Grinch. I am not the colloidal silver expert. Maybe Mike Adams at Natural News. But I got to bring up these timestamps real quick. So 11:19, what is it that I wanted to say out of this one? Okay, let me bring up to 11:19 here. Okay, so this is... He's talking about... this talks about the symptoms. So he's saying, so he's showing up a newspaper article here, and he's talking about how he's got a couple buddies that are in Xinjiang, which is kind of close to Wuhan. And he said that they just found 2 more confirmed cases in Xinjiang, which is close to Wuhan. And the interesting thing about that is the newspaper is reporting that they were asymptomatic for 30 days. 30 days. We heard 24. Chris Martinson keeps saying 27. Here's an anecdotal evidence that it's 30 days coming out of China right there. So that's the point that I want to make there. Food delivery. Watch this. Here we go. This is the next point right here. Let me get this other point. Or did you want us to add something?
No. I was going to say, once again, if we had the hats on and we went far left field, I would say that, there is no actual time frame that can be given if this is a biological tool that is controlled by some type of device such as 5G or something of that nature. So, we're hearing 20 days, 27 days, 30 days. Next week is going to be 45 days. Then it's going to be 60. And so actually it's just a matter of cutting on the antennas in your neighborhood. And then it's going to come. Yeah, I'm going to stop.
Okay, Mike, this is food delivery. So this is delivery from a local bakery. And they also got vegetables we'll see in a minute. But what I've got up on my screen is a bag. And on this bag is a piece of paper taped to this bag. And what is interesting about this is it shows the name of the chef and the temperature when he prepared this. It shows the name of the person who packaged it and the temperature of the person that packaged it. And it shows who delivered it and the temperature of the person who delivered it. So just think about that kind of level of control there, right? I mean, it's arguable whether the scans work or they don't work. But are we going to be doing all this stuff, adding all these extra layers of supposed prevention? So to get something delivered to your house, they got 3 temperature scans just on that.
Like, and so where did that come from? Like, did it come from the chef that he had to, print all that information out? And then was it somebody in the street that got stopped and then they had to get a checkpoint there, go temperature here and stamp on the bag? Where did that originate would be my question, because that's very detailed in nature.
Yes, and good point. Delivery. I would imagine it's the people that are there checking it each time that are writing it down, because like it shows them when they go out from their apartment building, they get scanned. When they go back into their apartment building, they're getting scanned. So like the people who scan, the actual scan, they're probably like an independent third party from the government, right? And then they're writing that stuff down. Okay, next thing here, 1240. There's only 2 more things, Mike, that I want to talk about in this video.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is just talking about how, and it's just showing here that they bought vegetables online. So, there's going to be a lot of online stuff, right? I mean, and this isn't even a lot of vegetables. This is like 1 bag of vegetables, a couple heads of lettuce, some ginger, it looks like they got some parsley there. But the point is a lot of stuff is being done online and through delivery. And then there's just scans all the way through with these temperature scans. So, and I'm going to show you that real quick here too. So that's just the final thing.
So think about, the amount of online shopping that would take place here, and then the retail stores that are already closing. So basically it's guarantees that they're going to have to shut down all their brick and mortar stores and do everything online. And I don't think a lot of companies have really adjusted to being able to handle sales done online solely, as all these stores and malls close if it gets to that point here in this country. So, yeah, more people laid off in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Then here's it showing a delivery, and this is interesting. So I'm just going to play this little couple seconds. So here they're walking, and it shows the snow on the ground, but he's walking to pick up delivery. Here he goes. He's spraying off this package all the way around, right? So the delivery guy actually doesn't even have on gloves. He's got on like winter gloves, and he's got on a mask. But like that's the thing. When you get these packages, they're like spraying them all the way around with this spray stuff. Now, if somebody would have listened to that James Wesley Rawls interview on Peak Prosperity the other day, he was like if you follow his advice, man, you're going to be going through like 6 pairs of gloves just to get out of your house and to get in your house. Because he's like, you got to take it off, then you got to spray this, then you got to take that off, and you got to spray this, and you got to spray that. I mean, they're just doing simple precautions, right? They're just trying to take simple precautions here. But it just goes to show that it's a whole new level of thinking. Right? It's a whole... Oh, and here he is. He gets scanned. Now here he is when he's back in his house, and he's spraying down his shoes. He's spraying down his hats. They're just spraying down everything. Oh, right? Man, so it's just... You have to totally shift and adjust your life to this, Mike.
Yeah, I do agree. And so low blood pressure mentions that he said a postal employee diagnosed with coronavirus in Washington State. So I saw that there's 2 deaths as of now in that region. And so once again, like the question would be, how long were those people infected? Did it show up within a week or 2 or 30 days or whatever? And then, what's the time frame between them being diagnosed and them dying? Was something I would be curious to find out, because mainstream media makes it seem like they died like that, which means they probably had it for a while. Think about all the people in between that they came across if their death was a result of the coronavirus.
Yeah,
so
and then it seems like once it kicks in, man, you get those symptoms and you're gone. It's like, but watch this. So think of everything we just saw. Think of every single thing we just saw, Mike, and then look at this article that I wrote this morning that I'm sure made more than just a couple people mad.
Yeah.
But this is that infamous picture coming out of Washington. So think of the janitors spraying stuff down with chemicals. Think of the healthcare workers. Think of all the precautions. And then we got people in Washington State. You got 8 people holding up clean bed sheets, wasting masks, wasting resources, all in the name of privacy, because you can't show someone being rolled out, covered up from head to toe in a sheet, Mike. I mean, this is a major, there is no disease prevention there at all whatsoever. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, they're just wasting all these medical supplies. Why you got all these people parading sheets around in the state of Washington? That is a failure, in my opinion, Mike.
Yeah, and so I once again, we can go a lot deeper if need be, but I'm curious as to, is it just Washington, and where did that person originate from that has the 2 people that have passed away? So let's get a call in before we do dial back. Let's see what we got here. All right, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Jake from Florida.
Jake from Florida.
Right now I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
All right, what's on your mind, my friend?
At the Air Force Base where they're holding everyone with the coronavirus. I just wanted to tell you guys some stuff. So when I go to classes, we're literally housed from these people that have the virus. We're about a quarter mile from them at least. It's pretty crazy.
So you say you're on the base, you say? I'm sorry, you say you're on the base or near it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They don't even have masks on. They're just walking around. So they have fences up and flood lamps up.
Yeah, really.
And so that's people who are confirmed cases.
Yeah, and so that's people that's confirmed cases.
I don't know. Yes, I believe so.
Man, that's interesting.
These are the people from the cruise ship, I think.
What extra kind of training are they giving them?
So, question for you: what extra type of training are they giving them?
And you.
What kind of what?
So, 1 second, Mr. Hathaway, you go ahead and ask him.
Yeah, just what kind of training are they giving you? What are they telling you to do different, and what kind of things are you doing that just kind of increase the prevention of the risk, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. So once again, keeping calm, but not helping people get prepared, because they want us to be caught off guard, in a sense, knowing that it will spread. They want us to be caught off guard is what I'm getting from all this.
Yeah. Hey,
interesting.
stay safe out there. Stay safe out there. You know, don't be touching doorknobs. Do whatever you can right now to do these kind of things that we just went over in this video today, because that's going to be important. Because this thing, in my opinion, is going to take off like wildfire here.
Yeah, I agree. Well, caller, thank you for calling in, my friend. Keep us informed.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Wow, interesting.
Yeah, Mike, we just went over the best case scenario. We just went over the best case scenario. And, man, you know, it's going to be bad here. It's going to be really bad.
Yeah,
think of all these healthcare workers that are exposed in this picture, right?
Yeah.
Because the point is, we don't know how this thing exactly spreads. They don't know, right? So much of this is unknown, right? And then you don't know how long it lives on inanimate objects, right? And then you just got, you know, this is a serious waste of, and it's also healthcare workers' time and energy that you're wasting here. You're wasting these valuable, precious masks. You know, you're wasting clean bed sheets. I mean, look at all the resources that are just being... You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not public health. It's public image is what I'm seeing in that picture.
Yeah. So the good thing is we're doing the best we can to keep people updated and informed. And I guess the best thing you can do is stay prayed up and prepared as best you can. And, you know, you want to believe in the government doing the best on our behalf. But then again, when they're telling people not to go buy masks, not to go do this, not to go buy this, not to prepare, then you got to really question as to, you know, whose advice you're going to follow, your instincts, your gut, or you're going to listen to them, knowing that, you know, not to, throw dirt on anybody, but, you know, the government's always respond after the fact and never beforehand, because that's pretty much how they operate. So, yeah, we can learn a lot from this.
Yeah. We can learn that Chinese is telling their citizens to wear masks, right? Because does that mean that the Chinese government cares for their citizens? I don't know. And that the U.S. government does not care for us. Because that's what it looks like to me. I mean, I don't know. That's what it looks like to me, right? When Trump says don't buy masks, when our Surgeon General says don't buy masks, when Mike Pence says don't buy masks.
Yeah, go buy some masks.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dial back here, Mike. And I know I was irate all day today. I was irate yesterday. So finish us off. I got nothing else to say, so finish us off with something good here today, Mike.
Oh, yeah, something good. Okay, well, yeah, what came to mind to me over the last couple of days especially is that, you know, I personally don't operate from a viewpoint of fear, and so I try to stay informed but stay relatively, you know, practical in nature, prepare as best you can. And ultimately, from a spiritual standpoint, which is what I try to anchor everything on, you know, what came to mind this past week was just, you know, for those that are believers, you know, the blood of Christ. Like, that's one of the things that I'm very conscientious of now, is that just remembering that Christ died for our sins, and therefore within the blood is the purifying of everything that we're going to encounter in this life. So that's one thing that's encouraging to me. I just plead the blood over my family and everything I do. And I believe God has it covered. So I would encourage everybody that do believe to do the same thing. But that's pretty much it. Be blessed, be safe, and we will see you guys later. If you've enjoyed this, don't be afraid to give it a thumbs up. Share this video, because once again, we're probably the only ones talking in this magnitude, telling you to think for yourself and not wait, you know, to listen to somebody else from reading from a teleprompter. So anyway, that's all I got to say.